Moving Leon to his new, larger aquarium was definitely a change for him, particularly with the killifish swarming around like a mob and constantly dive bombing his food. For the first week or so, Leon stayed in his cave a lot, and he didn't eat very much at all. Watch what he did when I offered him this raw shrimp, normally one of his favorites. He picked it up and moved it out of his cave. I picked it up and handed it back to him, but he moved it back out the door again. So one thought I had was maybe he's moving it out and away from him so the killifish don't start swarming him back in his corner. I think part of it too was just the whole change of terrain and space and scenery. When Leon was in the grocery store, he was basically defeated and in survival mode. So moving him from the grocery store to the 55-gallon tank here likely wasn't much of a shock to him. But after being here for almost 3 months and getting settled in to a new, more normal life again, I'm sure moving him again to the new tank was a little shocking. I know I tend to reference cats often, but have you ever moved your cat to a new home? Most will totally stress out and hide under the bed for 4 or 5 days. So I wasn't too surprised when Leon hid in his cave for a few days. I also had some other concerns about the killifish after watching them in the new tank for a while, and some viewers posted some great comments with similar concerns. When Leon starts molting, his new armor will be very soft and the killifish mob might overpower him. There is no friendship between them, no camaraderie. Leon's not enjoying them or bird watching like I thought. They're only harassing him and taking from him. So I decided to move the killifish out and over to the old 55. This wasn't going to be easy in such a large tank and with all the coral rock. I didn't want to break the new tank down and disturb Leon's cave. I caught a couple with the net, but just a couple, before they all started hiding in the coral. Then I went back to some tricks I used to use when I was a kid to catch minnows in the creek. I know, why don't I just go back to the bait store and buy a minnow trap? The first reason is most minnow traps are galvanized metal, and this tank is salt. And I didn't want to take the risk of contaminating the new tank with heavy metals leaching from the galvanized screen. Also, it's winter, and I just haven't seen any plastic or vinyl coated traps in the stores. It's just not the season. This one's trying to get the bait through the clear plastic. They're right by the door, so it's just a matter of time until one finds its way in. Then, hopefully, more will follow it. Here we go. So, this first trap worked. I managed to nab a few with it. But the killifish learned fast, so I had to change the trap to something new. Saltwater creatures seem to be on a higher level, always on high alert. The ocean is a brutal, competitive place. Go in. Go. Swim on in there. I nabbed this one, but it shot straight up out of the top and got away. Third time's a charm, though. I poked some holes in a gallon-sized plastic water jug and added this plastic screen to the opening, which directs the killifish into the center. Then, in a panic, they can't remember how to get back out. So with this trap, I trimmed the killifish herd down to just 3, and then later caught one more with a net, so down to just 2. The new tank is maturing well. It's staying nice and clear, so seeding it with filter media and substrate from the older 55-gallon tank worked well. Leon has bulldozed or eaten a lot of the seaweed I put in there when I filled the new tank, and he's moved the cluster of oysters around quite a bit, either trying to open them or playing with them. Without the swarm of killifish, Leon comes out of his cave and explores often. I've also stopped feeding him in his cave, which forces him to come out and scavenge for his food, which is a more natural routine. In the wild, lobsters don't have a long pair of tongs dropping food right in front of them. I've noticed with the much longer tank and more space, sometimes he only takes his dishes out to just outside his cave, rather than to all the way to the other side of the tank. I think we've all been guilty of that some days. Look what he does here. He goes all the way to the other side of the tank for his bathroom break, but I guess he wasn't ready. So he just whisks it away right before he gets back to his cave entrance. I think we've all been guilty of that some days. He just needs morning coffee. I've been fascinated with Leon's recovery and how he's adapted to his new environment and the relationship we've formed. We're not best buds, and he's not going to climb up on the sofa with me and watch TV like the cats do, but he's a lot of fun to have around. I don't know if he's enjoying a safe environment and regular food, or if I've just enjoyed having him around and watching him and observing him. Who's to say which is more beneficial? We've all been through a really weird time in our lives lately, with COVID, with economy issues, with isolation issues. Animals haven't experienced that like we have, but they experience some things in their lives every day that we don't. When I was buying groceries the other day, I peeked into the tank Leon came from. It was totally empty. It's a fact we consider lobsters food. Even in an antique store, I came across this lobster salt and pepper shaker holder. A lobster ceramic dish. With Leon around, it's been interesting for me to see what they're like off of the plate and just hanging out. Creatures living in the ocean have to fight every day for survival. It's a very, very competitive world out there. Ours is similar, but not that brutal. I have no idea where Leon came from. We just crossed paths at a grocery store. I do know, for example, where each of my cats came from. Leon was likely living his life, living in the ocean somewhere in the northern Atlantic, got caught in a trap, and ended up in a shipping facility, then a supermarket many hundreds of miles away. We all have a unique story to tell. You do, I do, even my cats do. This is Bobby. My son brought her home when he lived in Boca. She's from the streets of Miami and has a short tail, hence the name Bobby. I like to think it was bitten off by a gator. Who knows? Bobby likes to act in B-grade karate movies. This big guy is Baxter. His previous keeper unfortunately had to go to a full care retirement facility, so I took Baxter in. He lived in a small apartment and was an overweight cat. Here he explores the acreage and climbs trees a lot, so is slimmed down and muscled up. This is Abby. She's been the most fascinated by Leon. Abby spent 4 months in the shelter before coming here. She has no interest in the world outside of this house at all. She porcupines up and walks around slowly on edge out there. I've read some details of some of your stories in the comments. Stories of trauma, stories of addiction, stories of isolation from COVID and other things. We all have our journeys in life, and they're unique to us. I invite you to share some information and comments about yourself and your life in the comments section here. I've enjoyed reading them, and I know others have too. I read a few comments, okay, several from people that seemed to be offended by my female comment on the first Leon video. I'm not sure why anyone would be offended by that. It's like when you send a text to somebody and it's totally misread. Maybe I just misstated it. My mom could take a shoebox and turn it into a warm, loving home for us, and she did that several times throughout my life. Nothing jabby or offensive about it. Leon came into a vacant tank that had been sitting for months, and he immediately began turning it into a home for himself. When I moved Leon to the new aquarium, I pointed out the one area on his back that he can't reach when he grooms himself. And from the comments, that one spot where coral dust gathers was bothering a lot of viewers. So I'm going to take this aquarium glass brush and brush it off. Leon does not like this, but kind of tolerates it. Then when he's had enough, he makes a run for his cave. All clean though. That reminds me of another question I see in the comments a lot. Shouldn't I get Leon a partner? Even with this larger tank, there isn't enough room for 2 lobsters to set up their own territories. Leon and another lobster would fight constantly, and the winner would eventually eat the loser. Particularly if one lobster molts and the other doesn't, then the one with the tough armor would have a huge advantage in an enclosed area like this aquarium. When Leon starts molting, I'll probably dial 911. Then I'll definitely let you know how it all goes with an update. Something I've noticed now too the past few days, without the swarm of killifish in the tank, Leon is now taking his dishes all the way to the far side of the tank again. So it looks like he's settling in, and the small adjustments I'm making are working. The killifish are doing well in the 55-gallon tank and are becoming very tame. I don't think Leon the Lobster misses the Mummichog mob at all. Thank you for watching and following Leon's story. I'll do another update very soon. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and feel free to share it with anyone you think might like meeting Leon.